That's why I say that's now 125, and yes, it comes, the other part of that comes then.
So if this budget is approved as presented tonight, because you are looking at it again, and he may not be able to be the full-time chief on July 1st, but he would still get his same stipend. That would come right from the line, and then we would move on what we need to do to change the codes that allow us to hire the full-time position, and then that amount budgeted in the full-time line, there would still be enough to pay the chief going forward that wage.
So, in reality, in just real simple layman's terms, it's coming down the budget itself by putting the full-time position, forget about the benefit side of it. That's coming down, what was it, 637, 652, 25, just round numbers, that's coming down 25,000, right? Overall.
No, because in order to spend what Dave needs to spend with a part-time position, he needed that 652 that was in the first budget. He will still be able to pay the per diems that need to be staffed out of this 637 and get the stipend wage that he's getting. And then it would change over whenever we actually hire the chief. Okay, so it's, I don't know where you're coming up with the 22,000, but
I'm seeing that on dollar increase of line item 154, says 22,810.
So it's gonna, so that line, 22,000.
oh, that's the 20. Okay, so that is the amount increasing from the part-time to the full-time. But I'm looking, you gotta look at the bottom line. It's a $19,000 increase, because what's voted on at town meeting is not the individual line items, it's the bottom line budget.
Right.
This budget would be voted on at town meeting for $637. Don't look at what's in those line items, because that line item is going down, another line item is going up, okay? So the overall to this budget is an increase of $19,000. That's what I'm asking you to approve, is this budget at the 637. Then I'm asking you to approve the employee budget with the increase in the 54,000 to approve the 796. If you do that, then we can go forward with what we need to do to hire a full-time chief.
To clarify, Sharon, it's an increase of 19,000 from last year's budget,
Yes.
but it's a decrease from the budget we previously approved.
Yeah.
Yes.
So instead of increasing by 5.7% from last year, we'd be only increasing by 3.2% from last year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just because it's going to be quicker for you to say this than you do take it out. Okay, under the benefit side. Never mind, I don't need to answer. I think I just did, okay.
Can an ordinance only be changed at a special town meeting?
Town meeting or special town meeting.
Could that be a priority for town meeting? Because then I think people would understand it better.
If we have the time to change that ordinance and get it on the warrant,
Okay,
because we have to have a public hearing.
oh, right,
We
okay.
do have a public hearing scheduled for the 3 ordinances that are going to be changed, we're recommending to be changed to town meeting, because they have to, the warrant has to be posted 7 days prior to the meeting.
Okay, I got you.
And the work is not just changing the
Yeah.
ordinance, it's to talk to the organization, because their organization will not be as it is now. If you change their organization, do they want that? It will change here, because that employee, like Sharon had said, would not be appointed by the group, and we would go through the hiring process that that's here. And it's still an outstanding from 2 years ago is to look at the Medicare policies and look at it comprehensively there, so. So there is work to be done, and it could be very short, it could be a little bit longer, but at least if if we put the recommendations, it goes through town meeting, the monies will be appropriated so the select board can do what it needs to do.
Dave has something he'd like to add.
So, obviously, we want to approach the organization again, but 2 years ago, and Gandy can speak to this as well, 2 years ago, the organization, the membership signed a letter of support, not only for the position and the change, but specifically for the current chief of the rescue service to hold that position. And I'm a little confused about the wording around Medicare, because this is the Bethel Ambulance Service. There are no policies regarding Medicare that would be affected by a change from a part-time chief to a full-time chief. We're our own entity. They have no say in how our service is run or not run.
Well, this was just to look at everything comprehensively. We're obviously impacted by what Medicare does.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, but this is all discussion to happen once we get past here. And perhaps it's not even an issue at all. Glad to hear about theirs. And we'd look to have that again this time. But we're here to appropriate the money with the intent that this is what is going to be happening.
I think that if we approve this, I think that it's key, what both Mike and Bob said, that we've got to somehow explain that properly. It's just not more money coming out of the company.
Right, and we will do that. So, if there are no more questions, the amount that I would be asking you to reconsider is $637,452 for the ambulance operating budget and $796,306 for the employee benefits account.
I'll make a motion to accept the ambulance, or the rescue budget for $637,452.
Second.
Any other more questions or thoughts? For me, just a comment to a note. We did get this at the 9th hour. I feel a little ambushed, and really don't like to see the board being put in a position to do this at the last minute. With that said,
I would echo that as well, with anything. I never like to be
Yeah.
rushed on these things.
yeah. With that said, who can vote no for the ambulance, right? I mean, it's 300 yards from my house. I'm not gonna vote no for the ambulance. And with that said, I would like to see the thorough job done and the town go through and do the checklist that it needs to do and look at have the conversations that need to be done to have the comprehensive look when we do this. Any other thoughts or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion passes unanimous.
Budget committee.
Make the motion for the 637,452.
Second.
Discussion? All
I
in
agree
favor?
with Michelle.
Opposed? Bob? You abstaining?
No, I'm abstaining from it, because I think we're doing it wrong. The position I agree with, but,
Then I would suggest you need to vote against it, not abstain.
no, I'm not abstaining.
Abstaining is only if you have a conflict.
Well, not necessarily.
Do you
One
have your count?
abstention.
Well, if you want to vote against it, I'll vote against it, because the position perhaps is warranted, but we're not doing it right.
6 in favor, 1 opposed.
Thank you. Oh, and now the employee
Okay,
benefits.
I'll make a motion that we accept the employee benefit packet, or budget of $796,000,
We know what you
As
mean.
read.
Second.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion passes unanimous.
Budget committee,
Same motion. Second.
discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? 6-1.
Thank you. So,
All right,
This is warrant.
so we have,
Doing it.
budget, patrol budget. Are we looking to
Well,
reconsider or just?
I know I need to make a couple of statements on this. At the last meeting, you both voted not to approve the budget that was presented by Oxford County Patrol coverage. If I don't have a number to put on the warrant, there will be no warrant article for patrol coverages in Bethel. That means on July 1st, there's no money to pay for any patrol coverage. I did have a discussion with the attorney today on this, and she suggests that if you don't approve, just what I said, but if you don't agree with the amount presented, then you need to make some amount to go on that warrant to allow the people to vote if they want the coverage or not. And
When I made the motion last week, I was thinking that I made it for that full amount. I thought, the 600, I don't have it, I do have it in front of me, but. And I asked specifically, if that gets voted down, how do we have an alternative plan? So I was thinking that number would go on the budget. It would show our recommendation, or, our vote, but then that the people would vote on that number. That was that's, when I made that motion, that's what I was thinking.
well, according to the lawyer, none of you approved it to go on the warrant, so it can't go on the warrant.
So, I thought we just recommended,
We recommended no.
it was recommended for $0.
$0.
Yeah.
Yes, so there's no, that's what I'm saying, there's no money to pay for this.
I guess that's
What do you
not-
got?
It got voted down, I have it in the other, but it got
She-
voted down by select board, and then it was tied for budget.
Which
so-
means it fails.
Which means it
Right.
failed,
But that's
right.
not, that's why I asked specifically last week. I mean, I would rather re-vote, if we can re-vote. I don't know how, well, I was under the impression what I made as a motion would be what the warrant article was, and it would show our recommendations.
Yeah,
Right,
the amount would be, the amount would be on the warrant,
Yeah, I
but it
get
would
that.
say
I-
that both the select board and the budget committee did not approve it.
Recommended
Recommended.
0, but that's.
But the amount would be there, and it would just say that these boards did not.
Yeah, because if the town wants it, I'm
That's
fine
how
with that,
we've
like, that's.
done in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But the exact amount that they've given us has been on the warrant, because since I've been here anyway, there's been approval to put that amount on the budget, on the warrant. I would just ask for clarification, is for you to make a motion to put that amount on and approve that amount that's going to go on, and then the voters can decide if they want to reduce it and not pay that amount.
But shouldn't they see that it was
Yeah.
not
But-
recommended?
Yeah,
It
so
can be,
I'm thinking maybe two votes to put the warrant article on, and then we do a vote for approval, for recommendation.
yes,
Is this what you're asking?
Yeah, so that we can get the article on there, and then vote to put it on there.
So I would ask for reconsideration of the Oxford County Patrol budget.
second.
All those in favor? Hello, so we can look at this again? Thank you.
Budget committee, reconsideration of the police budget.
Same motion.
Second. Discussion, all those in favor of reconsideration? Bob, he said 7. 7 in favor.
Do you have that budget?
Okay, who's second?
I don't have the
Oh,
police,
thank you.
I have the old ones.
Wasn't this back?
Okay,
We
so,
wouldn't have a new, we wouldn't have a new.
no, it's the same amount, so find the budget that says, patrol ACO.
Is it changing from what we looked at?
No, it's the same, just.
It's the same one.
Neither Sharon, Stephanie has it.
That's right, that didn't change from what we had.
Right, there's the,
But the,
So the amount is $695,950.46. So we'll just,
so I'll make a motion to have a warrant article for the patrol services of $695,950.46. This is to get it as a warrant article.
Second.
Any other questions?
So that was to reconsider.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you clarify what it would mean that it is a warrant article?
So that means,
In this case?
my thing, it means that, to see, there will be a number to see if the town will approve $695,950.46 for patrol services.
So it'd be framed the same way that all of our other,
yes, it
Yeah.
would, the same way it was framed this year and everything else. And then that's where the voters can say, no, I don't want that amount, I want more, they can make amendments, whatever. But at least that full amount for the full coverage that we asked them to give us a quote on. And we can go back and renegotiate that figure.
Right, it's
Maybe.
it's up to that, it's up to that.
Yes.
It's, again, it's an
You can't do
appropriated
that.
amount, it's an appropriated amount up to that amount.
And we're not gonna tell the voters what our voters.
We haven't gotten there yet.
We haven't gotten there.
We're just getting it, we're just getting it on the
This
warrant.
is just to get it on the
Okay.
warrant, and then you can make your recommendation.
okay.
Any other questions?
Do we have to vote on
I think we open up the whole thing, so, all those in favor?
putting it on the warrant.
Putting it on the
Yes.
warrant?
Yes, good then.
Yeah, I'm
Uh-oh,
here.
that vote already?
No, we reconsidered, we had to open it back up again. So, motion passes unanimous to put that amount for patrol services as a warrant article.
By the committee, we just put it on the warrant, they have it on warrant, then we'll vote whether we recommend it or not.
I'll make a motion
So
to
this
put
is
it,
just to put it on the warrant.
put it on the
Second it.
warrant.
Discussion. All those in favor?
No, I have, this is, you're gonna put an article on the warrant without any funding, or you're gonna put an article on the warrant with a proposed funding?
695,950.46. That's the article,
Okay,
to raise that amount.
And then we need to make our recommendations, whether we recommend that or not.
oh,
Whether we recommend approval or not.
okay.
So, it was unanimous, that's good.
Yes,
Now.
select board, what
So
are
we
you
should
looking
do
at?
everything the positive, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to recommend this amount, $695,950.46 for sheriff's office.
You have to say, you have to say it in the positive.
Yes.
And then we can vote against it. Second.
You see, they really are a lot of,
And we still have
So
a whole
is that
meeting to
all
go
right?
after.
We should have a meeting, just
So
to
we have
meeting.
a motion and a second. Any other questions? All right.
Actually, yeah.
I'll
Go
just
ahead.
add, on top of what I've voiced in the past about my opposition to this, is that it also looks like they're asking us to potentially sign an agreement, and part of what they're gonna ask us to do, from the sounds of it, is to pay for the substation.
and I'll go over that in our meeting, because I have updates on that,
Okay, perfect, but I just think that that's important for
And
everyone.
there's another issue that I came across, and that's, on the new contract, that they do not say we get our cars and our, pistols back. Well, no, honestly,
We're-
on the
this is-
original,
this
on
will
the
be-
original,
That's correct.
contract, it said that they would give us back our three, I believe, three cruisers and our pistols.
What, was it the pistols, or was it they would give
Oh,
us
the
back
rifles, whatever.
equivalent equipment?
No,
No,
it
it was-
specifically
it was-
said the guns.
Because they've got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well,
So we're-
none of that is on the new contract.
We're just getting, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, so this is just looking to appropriate a certain amount of money, for the patrol services. Actually, there's the warrant article, the amount we had here. We're looking to see if the select board is going to, recommend that or not. Motion and second. Michelle, can I ask, and you don't have to answer this, but when we voted last time, I was wondering, hey, guys, if you could explain maybe your thought, because I was like, I don't know if I missed something in terms of not, like I voted to not recommend it, but I know you did recommend it, so I was just wondering if you would be able to share why I recommend it. Yeah, and so that, because then maybe I'm not thinking. of
Sure,
things right.
yeah, so I believe public safety is important to our area and to the citizens, and I think they, that's a service that they like. And again, it's up to a certain amount, I always hold out the hope, there was those 5 points that we brought to the commissioners, and I still have hope that we could, come to some sort of agreement. We do have all these other discussions to happen, but this is for an amount of money, and I think it's important in our area. It's transient, we're a service center, and for the public to have, control and, security, safety services.
Okay, and then, you don't think by us taking that number, it takes away our ability to negotiate
No.
maybe a different, okay.
No.
All right, then I'm ready to go.
And I just will add that we will have coverage, it would just be longer response times,
Right.
most likely.
It would default
But they are
to,
required to provide police
it will
services.
it will default to our county, what we pay through our taxes.
I also want to just note that we've talked a lot, there's not a lot of mention of negotiation, and every conversation we've had with them about negotiation, they have not budged in the slightest. So just think that's worth noting.
Could you do a favor, will you take the full amount that was just, voted on and deduct, if somebody has it, I don't have it in front of me, the amount for one, the individual amount for the detectives? It's a hundred and something,
Well, it's,
170, 170
the first 6 months is different from the second 6 months.
for the individuals?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no,
They
they gave us, right, they gave us
But not that you know,
a number, but they give us a number per
Right,
officer,
let's
so.
just go with the 171, 488, 166, just deduct that from the total amount.
524, 469, 80.
Wait a minute, 524,
469, 80.
okay. So I'd like to make a motion for that figure.
So are you looking to amend the motion that we currently have on the
Oh,
table?
no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The current
Are you
motion was
looking
the
to
informal
amend the
amount.
motion? The motion on the table is to recommend $695,950.46. Would you like to amend that motion to a
I
different
don't know if I
number?
want to amend it, or if I just want to make an additional one. I mean, we can vote on that one, and then I would present one and vote on that, no? Okay, do it that way.
No.
But it's good to have that number at town meeting, I think, right? Because if the town votes against this, to have another number ready.
So basically, what I'm going for is the 3 deputies instead of the 4.
I'm gonna get you the accurate number right now.
Okay.
Yes. All right, deduct that number from this number.
Very good,
That's not gonna be right. That and that divided this is the cost projected.
So I just want to explain why I'm proposing this, is because I'm going through the reports that we get on a monthly basis and what the calls entail from midnight to 7 a.m.
Right here,
They're
this number.
ridiculous. I mean, like 4 months worth of reports, there were 7 calls per month. Not per day, not per week, 7 calls per month.
Well, that could also
I
be
did.
because they know that the cops are here during the night.
Once you tell them around, no cops, you know, those numbers turn.
Huh?
Said if you tell them around, there will be no cops, you know what the numbers turn.
Do you remember what they were for? The categories?
Checking the businesses, and there was nothing like, you know, breaking and entering, there was not.
So do you wanna make an amendment to the recommendation? Do you wanna make an amendment to the number?
Okay, sure. Which is,
521, 962.85.
okay, I'll make an amendment.
521, 962.
Yes, 85.
I make an amendment to the amount of 521,962.85.
I don't hear a second, so the amended motion fails. And the motion, we go back to the main motion, which is a recommendation of $695,950.46. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Wait, never mind, sorry.
Try it again.
The opposite.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
All right, so it's 2 to 3.
And the motion for a recommendation is not recommended, 3 to 2.
Budget committee.
I think the same motion. Second.
Discussion. All,
I do, because I'm not gonna sit here in the night and find out what this thing is, and it might be viable to us. Can you explain, or can somebody explain what this, that we may have to take over the substation?
They're asking us to sign potentially an agreement, which we used to have. We originally had an agreement with them way back when. It expired for a long time. They did not want to renew it. They want to renew it. I think we actually asked that we would have some kind of agreement, partly so that we're not doing this every single year, potentially. And they got back to us with their proposal of that agreement, and in that proposal, it would require us, if we don't change it, which we're gonna try to do, I think.
I
But,
think
Well,
they're willing
our-
right now to take that out.
Yeah,
I'll go
sorry.
with it.
Our
yeah,
agreement,
you said you would talk to them, but it was, in that agreement, it was stating that we would bear the cost of a substation.
so our agreement has not expired. It's a continuous agreement with a cost allocation that they're to present to us the March of each fiscal year, prior to our fiscal year. So it's the cost allocation that we really have some issues with, and how their budgeting year is the calendar year and ours is the fiscal year. So we have, it's just an annual renewal of an agreement. The county wants to change that agreement and also add to it to pay for the substation.
So the budget that we're proposing to the town won't be the correct budget.
It doesn't have any cost for the substation in that
There's
budget.
nothing,
So it's not the right budget. Because if it was the right budget, you'd have the cost of the substation or
No,
proposed
because
cost.
it's not in a valid agreement. The agreement that they're recommending that they accept, that hasn't been approved. The board has not approved that. So that would be that's not for the patrol services, so that doesn't have to be in the budget. But they're not going to, they're gonna take that out of there. So,
Just for understanding, because I hope they can take that out. Currently, they cover maintenance, cleaning, that stuff of the substation, right?
they totally pay, they just renewed their
And
substation
their
lease
And
for
pay,
5 years.
and they would like us to pay that lease and do the maintenance and
Yes,
all that.
they're,
Which
I'll-
means
let
we
me
would own that.
so let me explain it. You know where their station is, okay? They pay less than they pay $600 and something a month lease, less than $6,000 a year. They just renewed that for 5 years. The reason that they cited that they wanted us to pay for it was a statute that said they had a right to do that. When we saw that, we said no. So then, they found out now that this substation is not just used by our 4 deputies. It's used by all of the deputies that are in this area. So they can't charge Bethel for something used by the county deputies. We have been discussing this now for 2 years with them, all of this stuff. We make headways, and in some areas we don't. But in my last conversation that I had last week, when I was there, the commissioners, I believe, are going to just take that out of the new agreement, because now they realize that it's not just used by Bethel, it's used by the county as well, so they're gonna continue to pay for that. I haven't seen, they haven't submitted a revised agreement, but I believe we will see that revised agreement.
Cool, thank
Does
you.
that explain it better?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
I'm sorry,
What was the vote?
yeah, what was the vote?
All those in favor again for the,
For the
Six-
budget of the
Of
695.
Okay.
opposed? 6-1, in favor.
Did you guys approve that?
No?
No, they did, you did.
I voted for it.
We got that one.
I don't think there's any further business to come before the joint budget meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Oh, I have
All
one
those
quick
in favor?
question before we do. The school budget thing, what happened with their vote?
So I gave you an updated sheet.
Thank you, everybody.
Whatever count is left.
6.1% increase in the school budget. So what's going to the voters?
Totally. No, I get that part. I just wasn't sure what.
$6,932.